usually have? Do you know?
It's hard to say. Okay, we are live now. Hello to all the viewers. A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining us for this Nutrition Nectar program on vegan cooking and nutrition. Today's guest on my show is Madhu Gadia, all the way from the US. And if you have any questions, as always, please type them in the chat box. I'm going to share the disclaimer slide with you very quickly, won't take long. So can you see this?
There you go.
Okay, great. So the views expressed in this program are for information only. Kindly seek a physician's help if you have a medical problem, and please consult a qualified dietitian for personalized diet plans. So I'm going to stop sharing, and let's begin by introducing our guest today, a highly acclaimed registered dietitian nutritionist and a certified diabetes educator who's also done her master's in the field of nutrition and dietetics, Madhu Gadia. She has 25 plus years of experience. Her experience and expertise include healthy eating, weight loss, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and other health and nutrition related topics. Madhu has worked in a variety of clinical and corporate settings. She is an accomplished nutrition and diabetes counselor, a nationally recognized speaker, and an author. She is the author of New Indian Home Cooking and the Indian Vegan Kitchen. Her cookbooks include nutrition information for healthy eating and nutrition analysis of recipes. Her books have been featured in magazines such as the Oprah magazine, Prevention, and Bon Appetit. Madhu says, nutrition and cooking are my passion, and I'm equally committed to both. How nice. I'm a firm believer that healthy and tasty foods go hand in hand. Unquote. She has a website of her own. She writes a blog. She has a Facebook page, Madhu Gadia RD. Her Instagram handle is Madhu Gadia. Her LinkedIn is Madhu Gadia. She's on Twitter with Madhu Gadia. And she also has a YouTube channel, Madhu Gadia 1. Wow, that's a lot of accomplishment, Madhu. It's so wonderful to have you with us. A very warm welcome to you. And thank you for accepting the invitation and joining this program.
Thank you, Sheela. I'm honored to be here. It's very nice for you to reach out. So I look forward to it.
Wonderful. So let's begin. And let me ask you the very first question. You are a qualified dietitian nutritionist based in the US. Did you study in the US? And if yes, can you tell the viewers how different it is to study in the US versus studying in India? That is, if there's any difference.
You know, I did my bachelor's from GB Pant University in Uttaranchal, I guess. And that was in home science way back when. And then I did my master's and right away I got married and came to US, and I did my master's from University of Illinois and in foods and nutrition. And I would say the biggest difference I still remember then to now is it is definitely harder. The courses are very competitive and you had to work pretty hard to get your grades. And but beyond that, I felt the friendship wasn't there. I missed my friends because when I was in India, everybody that's doing masters in nutrition will be in one class and will move together, whereas here you pick classes and every class you go into is different people. It's rare that you will even see one or two same colleagues. And so I just felt a little by myself out there. So that was my biggest difference, of course.
Okay.
Education-wise, it's
Right.
definitely intense. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So do you practice there, or can you just, briefly share the kind of work that you do as an RDN in the US?
So I worked in clinical settings for practically the first 20 years of my career, longer. And then as far as career is concerned, I wrote a book in between. So I wrote my first book actually in 90. It was released in 97. I wrote it by the time it was done, it was 95. And so after that, my interest kind of expanded into both culinary and nutrition. And I was kind of drifting, and I wanted to do more of that. And I worked in Better Homes and Garden, if you've ever heard of that magazine.
Yes.
Happens to be based in Iowa. So I was working there as their clinical editor, or nutrition editor. And then after that, I wrote my second book, and then I went and worked in for Compass Group, which is a huge food service company. And they wanted, I was a wellness director there, and they wanted to actually change what they served in the cafeteria, because they had like 5,000 employees in that building, and at least 60% ate lunch there in the cafeteria. So how are you going to make it so that people can choose to have healthier options and, of course, eat there? Financial reasons. So my job, that was a brand new venture for them, is to have dietitians in the cafeteria, teaching the chefs and teaching the customers better choices. So that was pretty exciting. That was my last job.
Yeah, that's nice. And
Yeah.
Better Homes and Gardens is a very, very well-known magazine.
Yes, it's
And
almost
I think
100 years. It's yeah.
Yeah, I think it's quite popular in India as well, and I've seen it in some libraries and some friends' homes and things like that. That's wonderful.
So there's a company, and I worked for they had different magazines. So they had a diabetic living, and that's where I was the nutrition editor. And they had heart healthy living and a diet magazine. So I was kind of doing their special interest sections. Yes.
Wonderful.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So being in the US, are you a member of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics? And if yes, do you have a role to play in this association? And I think it's the largest association of dietitians probably in the world.
Yes, I think there's 70,000 plus dietitians in there. Yes, I am. I've been a member since I became a registered dietitian. And as far as a role, I am currently in Indians in Nutrition and Dietetics. I'm the treasurer in that, treasurer, secretary. I play that role in there. And other than that, I've been an editor of Food and Culinary, DPG. So for their magazine. So I played a couple different roles, but more than that, I love going to their food and nutrition conference.
Yes, that's held every year, right?
It's held every year. I've actually presented twice, so so that's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Pretty honored for that. Yes.
Wonderful. So I was like browsing on the net, and I was actually going from one article to another, and that's how I came across an article that mentioned you and your love for Indian cooking. So that's how actually I reached out to you. So have you always had a passion for cooking and Indian food, or is it something that that you developed when you went to the US because you missed Indian food?
I thought about that question, and it's an interesting question because in some ways I've enjoyed cooking, but I think it was, I fell into it sort of as far as writing and teaching. Because one time my friend and we were walking, and this gentleman came to us and said, would one of you be willing to teach an Indian cooking class? And because some people I know are interested in an Indian cooking class. This is like 25 years ago. And right away, I told my friend, are you interested? Otherwise, I am. She goes, I'm not interested. So this was sort of like the beginning. I just went right away to a local kitchen store, and they used to offer some cooking classes. And I offered, and she goes, let's try it. We never know. And I have to say, my classes were very well received. I had more than, my classes were always full for 3 years. And then after that, so I taught them for 3 years, and they were 4-week classes. Well, in that process, I got tons of recipes. So at that time, I had a dietitian that I really admired who wrote a cookbook for diabetes and healthy living, and actually 2 different dietitians. And I'm like, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? And basically, and then I wrote my first cookbook, and I was just driven to write that cookbook, I think. And then I couldn't publish it because I wasn't a well-known entity. And so I self-published it. And I just didn't stop, I guess. So this is, I have to show you.
Oh, yes.
This is my Light and Luscious Cuisine of India, which from A to Z, I did it all. From writing to copy setting, getting it printed, and cover design. I mean, I hired people to do some of the things. And, but that was kind of, it's like somebody just walks into your life. You take the opportunity, you take the message, and I just kept going. And then that book I sold to Penguin Random House, the publishing company, and they renamed it as New Indian Home Cooking. So really, it's the same book, except they wanted me to package it. So I had to put some other stuff in there. And so I could stop selling the Light and Luscious and let the professionals handle that. And yes, so, and then I wrote the second one 10 years later.
Okay, that's
it's been a journey.
So, okay, wonderful. So it's basically Indian cooking that you handle, right? I mean, you teach and you cook and write and all of that. Everything is about Indian cooking. Am I right?
Yes, I want to make sure that that's, it's easy to get diverted, but I want to stick to the Indian because that's not only my passion, but it also separates you from others, I was told. Right. And the other thing is that all my books have nutrition information. So every recipe has how many carbohydrates are in there, how much protein, how much fat. So you have facts. So, a lot of people have used it to control their diabetes, and I didn't even know that, which is great because the first one was based on that, that it would help you manage healthy eating.
Okay, that's wonderful. And I think your second or the next book was on vegan cooking, right?
Yes.
So what got you interested in vegan cuisine?
So I would say the vegan cuisine was another one that just came to me. I did write a proposal to the same publisher. And the proposal was for vegetarian cooking. And they met in their board and came back and said, would you do a vegan cooking? And I'm like, I don't know about that. But then I said, well, but I didn't want to say no. And my husband doesn't eat dahi, so I thought it would be really easy. Then once I started doing research, it was a great decision because there were so many vegetarian cookbooks out there, Indian cookbooks, but there wasn't any that I could find at that time. We didn't have the internet at that time as prevalent as it is today. So, and basically it was done, so I said yes. And then I had to research. And so that's why the vegan came along. I wish I could say I was like, it was all my idea.
Oh, that's wonderful. So can you kind of show that vegan cookbook
Yes,
to the viewers?
Of course. Yes.
Wonderful.
It's the Indian
it's called
Vegan
the Indian
Kitchen.
Vegan Kitchen.
It's called the Indian Vegan Kitchen. Yes.
Wow. And how many recipes do you have in it? Approximately.
It says 150.
Wow.
Quick and healthy. That's another thing. I'm all about quick. I don't, as a mother and a working mother, I never felt like I had time to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. And we don't have servants here. So it was me, and me. So it's all about quick and healthy. And so healthy comes naturally because you're a dietitian. Quick comes because of necessity. So I'm always looking for good shortcuts. Still authentic, though. That's very important.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Okay, that's I think quite a challenging combination. You're trying to get the Indian food to be healthy as well as tasty and quick. Wow. Yes. That takes a lot of
Indian
work.
food is healthy and tasty.
Oh, yes, of course.
I meant tasty. Healthy, we can make it, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Talking about veganism, how prevalent is it in the US?
Well, the Indian food is just increasing. I mean, sorry. Vegan food or veganism is just increasing exponentially is the right word. And so I did some research on that just recently to make sure we are on target with that. And based on last 10 years, they think that the number of people who are vegan has really increased. But the research shows that may not be so true. There is about 2% of the population they claim to be vegan. So what does that mean? 2%, I mean, claim to be vegan. Well, they are self-reporting to be vegan, which means that maybe you're vegan most of the time. But if you go to, let's say I come to your house and I have pizza and it has cheese on it, still vegetarian, but because I don't have any other choice, I go ahead and eat it. Or maybe once a week I do eat something that's outside my vegan norm. But that's what the research states. So, and we know as dietitians, if you've done oral, people are telling you what they're eating, you just, kind of look at it with a grain of salt and say, okay, I know what you're doing. I get the total gist. So that's kind of what they were saying. So, but the amount of vegan foods sold in the US has just increased left and right, especially in the last, I want to say 3-4 years. So I was at work one day and the chef comes and says, we have this Impossible burger, which is vegan. And as a, Indian vegetarian, generally, although I do cook some meat, but anyway, so Impossible burger. And I'm thinking, nobody's going to eat that. Well, that Impossible burger, and there's another name for it, has just sold so many burgers. Apparently, it's not bad in tasting. I did taste it. And it is vegetarian protein and or vegan protein. There's no cheese in it. And they claim that the majority of the increase is because of the people who want to eat more plant-based foods. Okay, so the number of people wanting to eat plant-based foods is what's driving the market. Okay, so there is something like, what did I see, that it's all in the money, right? Everything is in the money. So hold on. Oh, here it is. All right. In plant-based food industry is thought to grow from $4 billion industry to something like 80 billion by 2030. We're already in 2021. I know. Yeah. So we need to figure out how to market this, right? But people want to eat plant-based foods. So what they call themselves is flexitarians, means once in a while, or no, every week they want to eat some plant-based foods. And because meat is huge, part of their diet, they want foods that taste like meat or are similar to meat. So apparently it's also increasing in China, which is very interesting. So, yes. But in America, it's really good thing about that. We can go anywhere now and any restaurant, and we can get vegetarian, most restaurants, you can get vegetarian options as well as sometimes even vegan options. Oh. And so it's become so much easier to eat out than it was before.
Yeah, right. And when you say they use plant protein, would it primarily be soy protein or
there is some soy protein in there, whey protein, but they also use like beets for the color and vegetables in there. I'm not sure, but I think the primary, can they use whey protein? I actually.
But maybe if it's a veggie burger, but if it's a
but
vegan
no,
burger,
not for a vegan burger. So right. It's soy but there's other stuff in it. So when you bite into it, it doesn't taste like just a soy burger.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yes, right. It is very interesting. It's,
right. And
I never thought it would take off like it did.
Yes, given that a lot of Americans do eat meat, it's quite surprising that veganism has taken off in such a big way.
It's huge, yes.
Right. And so what is a general dietary advice that you would give to somebody who is already a vegan or who wants to become a vegan? Because I think for a lot of people, this concept is new.
Right. Well, first of all, I want to say that Indian diet is very healthy if planned properly. Okay. And that's the optimum word. I would say all diets are healthy if planned properly. Right. Since I promote primarily Indian diet, I would say Indian diet is very healthy, but we do need to keep a lot of components in mind. That said, if you choose to become vegan, it's a big push on that. A lot of doctors and of course, internet is not your, shouldn't be the only source of your information, or at least make sure you're using the proper sites for getting your information. But because otherwise you'll think everybody's eating vegan these days. Again, if you plan vegan properly, means making sure you eat your fruits, vegetables, as well as beans. Indian veganism is very easy, right. And so if you choose to do that, then you can. Are you doing it because of what reason? Environment reason or animal reason? But what it seems like people are more concerned about the environment these days than anything else. So I think just plan it properly would be my advice, and of course, the book gives some information on it. Reach out to your dietitians and make sure that you are getting the proper advice. And if you're going to do the research yourself, make sure you use proper medically acclaimed sites. Like here, I would use WebMD, and I would use Mayo sites to make sure my information is accurate and not fear-driven, is what I call it.
Right. Yeah.
Or promotional.
Right. So,
And they should be careful. I forgot. You need to be careful about B12,
yeah.
zinc, protein, not so much protein, but B12, zinc, and iron. So those are things that you need to make sure that you're getting adequate of. So, which is sort
Right.
of
Right.
also an issue with vegetarian.
Right. So here for zinc, we normally tell them to eat, pulses are already eaten, so we tell them
Yes.
to include nuts and seeds and all of that.
Yes.
I guess B12 is the only nutrient that's difficult to get in a vegan diet. So
Yes.
what we normally, most dietitians in India do is that they ask the person to take a B12 supplement. And that's the only supplement. Otherwise, I think a vegan diet can meet all the other
yes,
nutritional
absolutely.
Requirements, right?
Yes,
so if planned
yes.
well, as you rightly said.
Yes. And, I did a talk to Indians for the American Physicians Association. And, you ask people and, they've forgotten to eat dal every day, or even, because they're so busy, nobody has time to cook, so they're eating salads and to be healthy, and now this not balanced, and they're not eating their adequate vegetables. So yes, we need to plan, think, and make sure you're including all the different food groups.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
That was. Thank you so much for that. You probably have online cooking classes, but do you also have offline cooking shows or classes that people can enroll themselves in? And would the Indian population be able to enroll in your classes, in the online classes, if you have any?
I'm not doing any online classes right now that are paid for. I mean, that you have to pay for or even are free. I am pretty much doing things that if an organization asks for it. So everything on my website is free. It's available for anyone to use. There's lots of recipes, videos. So last 2 years, my whole focus has been just on Indian cooking and promoting Indian cooking, and kind of taking it off from my books and just really getting people to become familiar with it and cook from the Indian from the books, or just cook Indian is what I was trying to say. So what was your question again? I got carried away.
Okay, so if you have offline classes, you said you have offline, you said you don't have online classes yet, but even when you have offline classes, how does one access it? Or, how do people enroll for these classes to learn more Indian cooking? And I suppose it would be only in the US, or probably only in the place.
It's frozen.
Think.
There we go. We're back on. Okay. So I don't have classes. I have done a webinar. I've done cooking classes, but in the last 1 year, but they've all been through an organization. Like Old Ways is a very popular organization on the East Coast. And they wanted me to do a cooking class. And we had they did a Facebook Live, and we had 1,000 people who joined, and we did, and 300 people through Zoom. So that was a very successful class, but it was because it was done by Old Ways. I find that their reach is far greater than mine. And at this point, I'd rather have people just reach out to me and do it that way than the other way. So I have a feeling. Looks like we're back on.
Yes, I'm so sorry about this. I really don't know what happened. It suddenly.
Internet does that.
Okay. Well, so we're
That's
back
okay.
on. My sincere apologies to the viewers. This was something, totally unexpected. So I'm sorry about this. And so let's continue where we left off. Sorry. Are we frozen again?
No, I can see you.
Okay. All right. So we were talking about your classes. I think you mentioned that already. So we'll move on to the next one. Most people believe that healthy food tastes awful. How do you ensure that your dishes are healthy as well as tasty?
Well, I don't, first of all, buy into that. I think people just love to talk about that. And then people have a very limited view of what is healthy. I think that is the biggest reason. Is dal, chawal, and sabji not healthy? It is. And is in a soup and sandwich not healthy? It is. Now, is your sandwich this big or is it this big? What's in it is what's going to determine. So as I was saying, I went to this cafeteria and I was telling people how to eat healthy, as well as the chefs. And chefs had a very limited view of what is healthy. And they thought, in American diet, they're thinking salads with no dressing, and they're thinking like basic chicken soup, and they're thinking that cottage cheese and fruit. And then when we showed them that you can make most dishes healthy, watch the portions, and it opened up their eyes, and they're like, okay, we can do this. And so I feel that Indian food is super healthy. Obviously, I believe in that. But again, well planned, you think of the old thali way, and it's a very healthy way of eating. You have dal, sabji, roti, some even raw vegetables like some cucumbers and carrots and salad and all that stuff on your plate. So it's a very healthy way of eating.
Right.
We have whole grains, we have pulses, we have beans, lots and lots of vegetables. But if you're not eating them, and if your primarily thing that you're eating these days is just paratha or roti or just rice and pulao, that's not going to, in a hurried way, people often eat like that. But as far as tasty, you put all the spices in there. You cook it just as you would. You just don't need a half a cup of oil in it or ghee in it to make it. So to me, it was how I cooked at home and really one day I'd love to say that Indian food is as healthy as a Mediterranean food, just because they have the promotion behind it and we don't. We ourselves are often saying Indian food isn't healthy. I don't know why, because we are really thinking of chole bhature, or that's kind of my favorite, but we're not eating that every day. So it's all in the balance, and that's what we teach people. That's what I preach. That's what I believe in. And I totally believe healthy and tasty foods go hand in hand. If it's not tasty, you're not going to eat it. I can proudly say my books have been around for 20 plus years. Both books are still available. And there is something there, right? Because otherwise books go out of print all the time. And
Right.
and it's the kids I love, the Indian kids who come back and say, I love your recipes, Auntie, because they remind me of my mom's. So it's all the home cooking with nutrition information, which the young people want to know. And older people need to know because they're been diagnosed with diabetes or heart disease and now should have facts versus just belief in something. And there is no reason a healthy food. So the study shows there are two things that are most important to people: tasty and healthy. What do you
Right.
think tops everything?
Taste.
Taste is number one. If it doesn't taste good, you're not going to eat it. You may eat it for a short time because you're trying to lose weight or do whatever, but you're not going to stick to the diet, a so-called diet. So Indian food is super healthy.
Okay, that's so good to know.
Absolutely.
Before, there's one question from the audience here, but before we go to that, there are a couple of questions actually. Before we go to that, would you like to say anything to the audience before we move to the questions?
Well, go with facts, I guess. If for any, especially dietitians as well as people, all the on my website, cuisineofindia.com, it's all one word, you will find all the recipes have nutrition information at the bottom of it.
Okay.
And I like to say all foods fit into a healthy diet also. So I like to have recipes of all kinds. And
Can I just show
that's
them
it.
your website? I have it open here.
Yes, please do.
Okay, let me share it. I need to share the screen for that. There you are. And can you see the screen?
Not yet. There we go.
Okay. So this is Cooking with Madhu. Fall in love with the cuisine of India. Wow.
I had
You're
a
already in
marketing
love
guru
with
help me with that.
you're already in love with Indian cuisine. All right. So
Yes.
you were talking about the recipes. Can we
Yeah,
find
go to the
them
blog.
here?
Go to the blog.
Oh, go to the blog. Okay, there's something about you as well here. All right.
Yes, yes, of
Go to the
course.
blog. Yes, and recipes.
There we go. So blog, first hit the blog.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that. And we are on the recipe page.
Right. So these are the recipes, but just hit blog. Don't go to the recipes.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. A friend of mine just asked me the other day this chicken tikka recipe, and there we go. So these are my blogs, and these link to the recipes. And so I'm trying to just kind of go with, this is a promotion I did with Old Ways.
Oh, this is COVID time, is it?
It's I only started in January
Okay.
last year, so it's been 1 year. I mean, restarted, I should say.
Okay. So yeah, well, there are some more pages of it, but I've just shown the first
Yes,
page.
yes. And then
now do I go to the recipes?
Yes, just go to blogs. There we go.
Yeah.
And you can sign up for the blog, of course, so you can get it in your emails.
Mm-hmm. Cran apple chutney sounds nice.
Oh, that is really turned out good.
Okay.
I actually love that chutney on it, crackers.
Oh, okay.
So it's
and do you have some video? I see videos here. Should I click on that?
Yes, sure.
So you actually demonstrate?
No, yes.
Okay. Veggie bean burgers. That sounds interesting.
So that's made with chickpeas or garbanzo beans.
Okay.
And it's actually quite, and then I have chana.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. And you're cooking with your grandson. How nice.
Yes, he wanted to be in the video too. He's like, Nani, how can you do it all by yourself? So it was my
Okay,
pleasure to have
wonderful.
him.
All right, great. So we have Madhu's website here. It's called cuisineofindia.com. Is that right?
Yes.
Right. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen so that you can check out. Somebody already is saying very nice, ma'am.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, yeah, so the viewers can go there and check out all the details for themselves, right?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So now, shall we move on to the questions? NG, this, eh, I'm sorry, what I don't know what NG stands for, but anyway, good evening, ma'am. Should vegan diet be given to PCOD patients? That's the question from NG. Thank you for joining in, NG.
Is she saying NG as her name? Okay, that's her name.
Yes,
Okay.
NG is
All
the
right.
name.
Okay, that's fine. That's great. To PCOS, I would say if that's what they're choosing, I wouldn't say that's the only option for her to control her PCOS. But if the patient is wanting to be vegan, then I usually don't recommend people to go on a certain vegan diet or a vegetarian diet. I always tell them to balance their diet and eat more plant-based diet foods. Just because you're Indian doesn't mean you're eating a lot of vegetables. That
Right.
is true. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, she's given her name. Her name is Namita. Thank you for typing in your name, Namita. Um, all right. She also, okay, sorry, before that, Susan Verghese. Oh, Susan, so nice of you to join in. So Susan Verghese and I are go many, many years back. We were together in college and we are very close friends. And she lives in Malaysia. And I know it must be pretty late for you, Susan. And yet, thank you for being here. So nice of you. So, Susan's question to you is: are there any other negatives to being a vegan other than vitamin B12 deficiency?
Not that I know of. All my research indicates that it's going to be, you're going to do fine. Again, you just have to plan a little bit more because it's too easy. Sometimes they can be high in fat, the foods that you buy outside, and sometimes they're just plain boring. So you may, end up eating something else if it's not satisfying. But no, there is nothing else that you have to worry about.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so
Nutrient.
Susan, there we go. Vegan diet can be very healthy,
Yes.
and as long as we choose the foods right. All right. So there's another question. What is the difference between a nutritionist and a dietitian? Maybe you can give the US perspective.
In the US perspective, anybody can write themselves to be nutritionist. So we used to say anybody can open shop and say I'm a nutritionist. And a lot of celebrities like to do that. And help, what do they call them? Exercise professionals. They can say I'm a nutritionist because I can, because I show you how to do health coaches, they call themselves. But then they'll write a nutritionist, but only if you are a registered dietitian by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which used to be called ADA, American Dietetic Association, could you write that you're a dietitian. So you were a certified, registered, some entity has made sure that you qualify as a dietitian.
Right. Okay,
Yes.
that's great. Yeah, that's wonderful.
If you write you're a dietitian, you better back it up.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good question, Namita. Thank you for asking that, and I'm sure this will benefit a lot of people. Okay, and Susan says nice recipes. Thank you, Susan.
Thank
So this
you.
is the next question. There is a new NDS diet coming on YouTube. I don't know what NDS stands for, but NDS diet coming on YouTube. They say go vegan, even water fasting. It's a spiritual diet. Is it possible to fulfill nutrients with it?
With water? I don't think so. Yeah, and you know
No.
what? That's what I mean by making sure that you use a credible source for your nutrition information or medical information. That is, if you look at, and this is something you fight all the time. I remember very distinctly a patient coming to me and asking me about some diet, and I said, I haven't heard of it. And she said, what kind of dietitian are you if you haven't heard of it? If you don't know the diet? And I'm like, there's so many diets out there. And it's usually when they fail, you come to me. And then we know that, so I have no idea. There are tons of diets out there that I don't, certainly not aware of all of them.
Right. And a lot of them are not, excuse me, a lot of them are not scientific, I think.
Exactly.
Right.
They're not backed up.
Not backed by science, not evidence-based, and doesn't work most of the time. So, and whatever you're trying out a diet for, oh yes, that's right. And whatever you're trying this new diet for, if it doesn't work, then it's not even worth it. So the best thing to do is to go to a qualified dietitian, whether you're in the US or in India or anywhere else. Get help from a qualified dietitian and get the right kind of diet that is tailor-made for your requirements. I think that's the way to look at it.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Yeah. So she also says this new whatever diet thing, which is on YouTube, claims that it cures all diseases, and following it, I feel very light. And well, I don't know. I really don't know. See, claims, probably a lot of people can claim a lot of things, probably to make it popular, but I wouldn't really go there and try out new diets on my own without getting help of a qualified person. Do you have anything to say, Madhu?
I would say all diets will work. I used to say they don't work, but now I say all diets will work for a short time. Okay. So you go on this NDS diet, or a lot of my friends went on gluten-free diet. They felt so much better. And then, well, sure, because you're eating better for those few days, because you're paying more attention and therefore you feel better. But can you stick to it? And not only that, was it the gluten-free, or was it the NDS diet, or drinking so much more water? Is that what made you healthy? Or is it the fact that you are paying more attention to your diet for a few days?
Right.
So yeah, sure. If it makes, one thing I learned is paleo diet is huge here. And I stood there in the cafeteria till I was blue in my face, telling people that it's not a good diet, it doesn't work. But they just looked at me like I didn't know what I was talking about. So you just kind of say, okay, make sure you get your fruits and vegetables. So you can't always tell people what to do, or you can try unless they're receptive. But any diet, they can fan it and it becomes popular. And
right. Yes, that's right. Rupa Rao, thank you for joining in. Rupa has a question for you. Is intermittent fasting good? Is it beneficial?
We used to say that
quite a rage now.
It's quite a rage, and so is cleansing. And I am not a fan. I will not promote that. And fasting is huge in India, and people do that all the time anyway. Again, I've never done much fasting, and my theory always was that you become more obsessed with food when you fast a lot. Does your body go into starvation mode? And then you are always afraid. And when you're not fasting, you're eating more. And in the long run, is it really helping you? Or is it just increasing your obsession with food and types of food? So I kind of I'm not a fan of it. I know it's out there. I don't think most dietitians are fans of it, even in this country. That's kind of what I think about it.
Thank you for that. And Rupa, I hope that answers your question. Um, okay, again, Namita wants to know, tell me something about B12 deficiency in vegan diet. I think you've answered that question already, but would you like to add anything else to what you have said?
It's something that I'm not sure that you can get from food. And sometimes it's your body makes B12 actually. And majority of the people don't need to worry about it. But if you, in the US, there is a benefit because a lot of the food is fortified these days. Our flours are fortified, our snacks are fortified. And, but if that's not the case, you may need to take a supplement. And that's what I know about it and usually people don't become, there's not that many people that become B12 deficient, but it is something of concern. And you should maybe get it tested just to make sure that there is. I mean, vitamin D is huge these days. Everybody's taking vitamin D supplements. Get out in the sun and get the vitamin D,
Right.
etc. So,
Yeah, right. In fact, in India, we do see quite a number of people with B12 and vitamin D deficiency now, in spite of dairy consumption and all of that. So, I think doing tests to find out if there's a deficiency has become quite a routine thing when you go for a checkup or something like that to your physician.
yes, I would get it tested. I wouldn't
Right.
assume anything.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely. So if
And
there's a
here you would
deficiency,
want to talk to a doctor. Yeah. And by the way, I
Right.
got diagnosed with B12 deficiency. I can't believe I did, and I have to take shots and not supplements. They feel that
okay.
shots work better in absorption of B12.
Right.
So
Yeah.
once in 3 months, 4 months. So
Great. So, I think this will be the last question. Namita again says, what is the best diet that should be followed? What kind of plan should be recommended to clients? All right, to make them help lose weight faster. I wouldn't really recommend quick weight loss. What do you think, Madhu?
agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
By the way, just FYI, there is on my website, there are some meal plans just to they're 500 calorie dinner meal plans or meal plans. So that might be helpful. My big thing with meal plans is individualize, see what they like, make sure you include the foods they like. And that's kind of exactly what Sheela, you're talking about. And so for me, it's been a pleasure just because I can see our science isn't different and what we're telling people isn't different.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. All right. Okay. Thank you for answering the B12 question, she says. You're welcome, Namita. And as a vegetarian, Rupa wants to know, she's 39 years of age, what healthy diet should be followed? Well, I think Madhu has just answered that. Go to her website, check out the meal plans, and, you will get some healthy options there.
Watch your portions.
If you want to, yes, absolutely.
Watch your portions.
If you still want more help and individually planned meal plan for you, I think you need to meet with a qualified dietitian.
Yes.
And I'm sure you'll get a proper healthy diet that you would like to follow being a vegetarian. So hope that helps, Rupa. There are no more questions, Madhu, so
great.
I guess we can wind up and say bye-bye to the viewers here.
Yes.
Would you like to say
Thank
anything
you.
else?
Thank you so much, Sheela, and thank you for the participants. It's so nice to be able to relay my years of knowledge, I guess. And like I said, I'm most excited about the fact that we are saying the same things, and whether it's in India or here, and we're here to help people. And go to a qualified dietitian, get yourself tested, and all diets fit into a healthy diet.
Absolutely.
Reach
Thank you
out to
so much.
me. Feel free to reach out to me through the website too. There's a contact information.
Oh, that's so nice. That's really lovely. So you can write to Madhu via her website. And
Yes.
once again, thank you, viewers, for joining in this session, and hope to see you again in the next Nutrition Nectar session. Stay tuned; the announcements will be made. And Madhu, it's been wonderful having a chat with you. Thank you so much for making yourself available. I know it's early morning for you, but still you're here with us. And thank you once again. It was excellent to chat with you. And
Thank you
we'll
again,
stay in touch.
Sheela. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you
My
again.
pleasure. Yeah.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.